guiding light in our sadhana and strengthen our resolve to walk in the straight path with
greater purity and purpose. Let us warmly welcome Dr. Sainath Manikonda.
With loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet, sisters and brothers in the Sai family from the United Kingdoms, and my young adults, it gives me a great pleasure that I stand before you today to share a few thoughts. When all of you are getting ready to go to Prasanthi Nilayam shortly, and I thought maybe, and this was called a Sadhana camp if I'm not mistaken, so maybe I thought I should possibly share a few thoughts with all of you about what is sadhana and what is its relation to Bhagwan. I'm not a philosopher by nature in the sense that you will not expect me quoting elaborate philosophies over here. I'm more of a student of Bhagwan. So most of the time I speak from what experiences we have had with Bhagwan and what are the lessons we derived from that, and that itself constituted our sadhana. So it's a fond hope today that I stand before you to share some of those very experiences and the lessons we learned from that, with the intention that maybe it would help some of us to redefine our own pursuit with Bhagwan's sadhana. Many times we would find devotees coming to Bhagwan and Swami would lovingly call them in for an interview. And one of the questions which the devotees would ask Bhagwan is, Swami, where is God? How can we experience Him? Now there is so much of chaos all around us, and but God is everything but chaos. So how do we experience God and where do we find Him? And Swami always used to say, see, there is no need for you to go to a particular place and find God because He's always there around you. In fact, He's touching you in ways which you need to tune yourself to understand that God is touching you. And that tuning is nothing but the sadhana. This is what Swami used to often say. So everything that we call as sadhana by virtue of our satsangs, seva, homam, japam, dhyanam, whatever we may call it, these are all basically processes by which we are fine-tuning ourselves in a way such that we will start realizing the innumerable number of ways in which Bhagwan is touching us in our daily lives. So, is there something that we can do to understand this point is the question. How do we find ways to experience that Bhagwan is touching us? One important incident which Swami was talking to students about, a Chinnakatha he was telling, which actually convinced us that maybe it is not something new we have to do. Perhaps we need to just reorient ourselves. This story was a very powerful one. I believe it also appeared in one of the newsletters released by one of the Sathya organizations at that time. There was a sage once who said he was going to conduct a test for his disciples. So he called all of them and he gave them a sieve. We all know what a sieve is, right? Especially in the Indian household, we use it to filter out water and from the rice. It's basically a fine mesh structure through which liquid falls and solid remains. So this sage gave his devotees, each one of them, one sieve and told them, go and fill this sieve with water and come back to me. They were all puzzled. What kind of a test is this? How can you fill water in a sieve? It is designed to actually let go of the liquid, and the sage is asking us to fill the sieve with water. So they struggled, they tried various experiments, this, that, nothing worked. So they all came back and they said, Master, we couldn't do anything. Then God said, I will show you. The sage just took the sieve and threw it into a bowl full of water. And he said, now the sieve is filled with water. This is the reorientation we are talking. We are hunting for God We are hunting for methods in which he is touching us. Perhaps we need to reorient ourselves. What may be required is for us to immerse ourselves in that love, and then there is no need to look for anything because we are a part of that very love. So just a reorientation is what it is required. Basically, this process is what Bhagavan often calls as sadhana. How do we reorient ourselves? Yesterday I was narrating an incident I'm sure many of you would have seen online, but I would not like to go into it. So sadhana is doing nothing new. It is just a process of reorienting ourselves. Basically, obviously, that means we will do it in the way which we understand. So, there is a Upanishad in the Indian scriptures called as the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I'm sure some of you would know about it, in which there's a very interesting story that's narrated. I'm particularly fond about this particular narration in this Upanishad because it points out several things. Forget the lesson from this episode, but there is also a vital message that is encapsulated in it, which I would like to share with you. According to this Upanishad, before the start of every yuga, there is some cycle which is there, in which, the Prajapati Brahma, not the Brahma in the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara trilogy, there is a Parabrahma who is called as the Prajapati Brahma, who is the originator of the creation. So for every cycle, he creates a group of the Devas, he creates a group of Danavas, and he creates a group of Manavas, with the characteristic traits in them. The Devas, they are the embodiments of perfection. They have all the luxuries around them, and they basically have immortality. The Danavas are the other extreme. They are the embodiments of everything that is evil, and which the creation ensures you should not have it. The Manavas are the ones in between who have to do their sadhana to travel from being Danavas to becoming Devas. So, and I believe there is some kind of coaching camp, like the sadhana camp, which the Prajapati Brahma conducts for these three categories of people. A small pause over here. That means whom we call as gods, whom we call as devils, and whom we call our men are all the creation of God himself. They are not born out of nowhere. They are created by God himself because creation needs all these three. The creation needs to do all these three, and the central focus is the Manavas. We have to see the difference between the shades, the grey, the black and the white. We have to see the difference between the good and the evil, and then we are given the discriminatory power to choose which we would like to follow. So these people, once they finished their training, I believe all three of them stood near Prajapati Brahma and they prayed to him. Lord, you have trained us so well, now we are going into the world. Tell us what we can do, so that give us any last minute upadesh that you would like to give. And Prajapati Brahma uttered only three words, da, da, da. That's it. He didn't speak anything else. He said da, da, da. You can find it in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this story. And all three of them, we may be puzzled, but those three category of people were so well trained by Prajapati, they promptly understood. Now, I don't want to miss anything, that's why I will just consult my notes extensively here. First comes the gods. How did they understand da? So they understood da to be damyata. Damyata is exercise of self-control. Because the gods were created in such a way that their environment in which they were going to function was always filled with luxury. It was always filled with peace, happiness, joys of every kind. There was every chance that they are likely to become self-indulgent and lose track of what they are and what their purpose is. Now this is the classic, one of the subtle messages hidden in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, for that matter any Upanishad. Even the gods have a function. Prajapati Brahma expects even the gods to discharge that function. So if they stop discharging the function, they too fall from grace. Everyone has a function. So gods understood as damyata, that is an exercise in self-control, because they are prone to indulge. They are surrounded by such an environment wherein they are prone to indulge themselves and lose track of what they are. So the gods therefore understood the word da as damyata. Now why did they understand it as damyata and not the other two? It is the environment in which they were going to function. It is a training that they received and the environment in which they functioned that prompted them to think like that. Now comes the next ones, that is mankind. Mankind interpreted Da as Datta. Datta means piety. Piety means charity. Be charitable. Because men were created in such a way that they were in pursuit of the four Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That is the way their sadhana is described. Mankind is supposed to discharge these four responsibilities and attain moksha. So in the pursuit of a specific task, there's every chance that men can start becoming self-centered. They will start thinking about their own pursuit towards moksha, and there is every danger that they will start forgetting about the next door person. So that means there's a chance of them becoming totally self-centered. Now, Brihadaranyaka Upanishads were so powerful, they foresaw what is likely to happen. Can any one of us seated here deny that this is the biggest disease that mankind is today suffering from? Self-centeredness and self-ego. Every problem in this world you see today can be traced back to this. The self-centeredness and ego of one person or a group of people. That is, the Upanishads foresaw all this. And they were written millions of years ago. That is the power of the sacred text, the Upanishads, which followed the Vedas actually. Vedas came even before that. So anyway, we are not going to that esoteric lectures over here now. So men understood as datta. Datta means piety, charity. There's a danger you are likely to become self-centered and egotistic in the pursuit of the four Purusharthas. So they said, the Prajapati Brahma is telling us, we should be very generous. We should not only think about ourselves, but we should also think of the welfare of the others. Then comes the Danavas. Now the environment in which the demons were created, it is always filled with ego, everything negative, basically. So Danavas understood that there's every possibility that they will let go because it is such a vicious atmosphere in which they were scheduled to function. They understood that the Prajapati Brahma was telling them, once in a while, you must also be compassionate. That is Dayatvam. Dayatvam is what the demons understood. Because there is a danger that they may become so cruel that all signs of any kind of compassion will leave them. So they understood as Dayatvam. And Prajapati was happy with all three of them. They understood the environment which they were going to function. They understood the dangers that they are likely to fall into because of those environments. And they understood what is the message Prajapati Brahma was giving them. Now the reason I went into this elaborate explanation basically was that sadhana depends upon the environment in which we are going to function. The sadhana of a housewife or a mother, for example, will definitely be different from the sadhana prescribed for a professional, let us say in the IT sector. It will be definitely different from the sadhana which is prescribed by a person who is in the defense forces, let us say. So different people function under different environment. So therefore, the sadhana which they choose for themselves will be decided by what kind of environment they are functioning in. So there are hundreds of environments, so there will be hundreds of prescriptions for sadhanas, none of which are likely to be unique for each and every one, except the end goal. The starting point is common for all of us, the end point is common for all of us. How we reach from the start point to end point, that is decided by the individual sadhana. Some of us may choose to walk, some of us may choose to take the car, some of us may choose to take a bike, some of us may choose to take the train, anything. But we are all moving from the starting to the ending. No one can criticize the other person, why did you take a bus? You're not allowed here. That is not possible. That is sadhana. Therefore, while the end point and the starting point is common, how we proceed there is entirely up to us. And this narration of the demons, devils, and the manavas, which I just told about the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, is now very relevant to us because in man reside all three. Sometimes we are devils, sometimes we behave like men, sometimes we behave like gods. You may be surprised, how can man behave like a god? Because sometimes, when somebody is in dire need of somebody, a doctor for example, and he saves somebody's life, no, he is thanked, you are God, you have saved my life. So at that point of time, the doctor is very much a god. Sometimes, somebody is shivering with cold and struggling for food and he doesn't know where he's going to feed his family. Somebody comes and tells, my dear man, here is some food for you. The person who gave the food becomes a god for him. So we are capable of displaying the tendencies of all these three. And so therefore, it is up to us, Damyata, Datta and Dayatvam, all these three should be included in our sadhana. That is how we go about it. So let's talk a little bit more about sadhana. One very important thing is people start mistaking that if I work and do seva for 11 hours, I've done a great job. Sadhana was never meant to be quantified. It is a quality of sadhana that always matters. And we have experiences with Bhagwan that actually show how somebody who did something very little but with a pious heart, he treasured that more than somebody who donated millions to him but still did it with ego. He is on record when he used to tell this. A very good experience of sometimes when I was getting caught up in this blind of one thing. I remember things were not going well in our house. And, there was a series of hurdles coming up, one after the other, one after the other. And one of my classmates was settled in Varanasi. He had taken recluse from the world. He was in an ashram there. He was serving all the sadhus who would come to Varanasi. He would serve them, cook food for them, give them food. And he said, that is my sadhana. I am serving the saints who are coming to pay respects to Lord Shiva in Varanasi. So he said, that is my sadhana, that's it. And he would do it all the time while singing bhajans and doing good like that. So when I told him this, he said, see, Shivaratri is about to come. Why don't you send me a few bags of rice? I will cook the food and I will serve the saints. And the saints, invariably after they finish eating, that's the good nature of the saint. They say, Annadata Sukhi Bhava, and then they go. They utter a prayer of blessings for the person who has cooked food for them, who has fed them, and then they go. And he says, when those blessings from such great saints come, they'll invariably come to you. So why don't you send me a few bags of rice? I said, see, sending to Varanasi is very difficult. I'll do one thing. I'll send you the money, you buy it there and you cook it and serve it. And he gave a big laugh. And he said, who cares how much of money you give for the bags of rice? See, you're missing the whole point of why I asked you to do this. See, God always sees how much time are you spending to look for a good quality of rice for these saints. God always sees what effort you are putting in to look for the rice which you are planning to send over here. It is the effort that matters. If you give me the money and I buy and cook, what are you going to gain out of it? Nothing. I'll gain all the punyam. So that actually I felt was Swami trying to tell me something. So whenever we say, okay, I'm sending the money, you take care of it. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not the money that God is looking at. It is the intent behind how we are giving the money that He is watching out for. If that intent is correct, grace follows automatically in some form or the other. Not in the way which we want it, by the way. So when we sit for an exam, you can't demand the teacher to give a question paper like how you would like it to be. He will give it the way he wants it. But he will not let you sit for the exam unless he knows he has prepared you thoroughly for it. So this is what happens. So in that day I actually felt that it was Swami who was talking to me and telling me that put in your effort. If you don't see that effort sincerely from your side, how do you expect me to give you the grace you are asking for? So sadhana should always be like this. Let us not focus on the quantity. Let us always focus on the quality. While we are performing this sadhana one, we have several stumbling blocks. There is no doubt about that. And in these stumbling blocks, sometimes, they act as distractions for us from our path. So sometimes these distractions also make us egotistic, dispirited, but very rarely does it fire us up with enthusiasm to pursue our sadhana, these distractions. And one of the biggest distractions in this is the process of comparison. Now, as children, when we used to perform our exams, we used to say, oh, I was studied for so many days, but I got only these many marks. That fellow hardly studied, but he got so many marks. And that dispirits us. The first thing that comes to us is dispirit. Then we start doubting our own abilities. No, I'm no good. It doesn't work out for me. Whatever I do, I know I cannot break this barrier. That fellow is hardly doing anything, but look at him, how he is progressing. That is the starting part of a stumble in our process. So I would like to read out an excerpt from a first discourse which Bhagwan gave on Vijayadashami. This was in 1953. This excerpt is very powerful, so I will just read it out. So, there's a reason why I'm narrating this. Many times, we always feel, why is it that the good ones are suffering while the worst scoundrels on earth are prospering so nicely? So these words come. I'm being charitable by using the word scoundrels. People have different, more horrible names for them. But this problem comes to us. I would like to read out this excerpt. This will tell us how wrong we are in actually making these comparisons. I quote, "His ways are mysterious. He blessed Vidura with the words, 'Be destroyed.' And he blessed Dusyasana with the words, 'Live for 1,000 years.' What did he mean here? He meant that Vidura's ego, will be destroyed, and the wicked Dusyasana would have to suffer the ills and tribulations of this world for 10 centuries. You do not know the real reasons behind the actions of the Lord. You cannot understand the motives of other men who are almost like you in everything, actuated by the same motives and having the same likes and dislikes. But yet, how easily you discover the motives of the one who is far, far above the level of humanity. How glibly you talk and judge something that is as strange to you as atmosphere is to the fish." Judging God's action is one of the most foolish things, because when we compare our situation with others or excess situation with why, we are doing nothing but judging God. Why have you given him so much? Why have you given me so less? You are questioning him. When we cannot understand the actual intensity and the intention of our own fellow men, forget them, ourselves, in what position are we to question what God wants? But one of a very powerful experience which I want to share with you, I've shared it, some of you would have also seen it in the YouTube talks, but the more number of times I tell it, I think that much of good it does. Comparison, why does it begin? Like Swami himself has said here, it's because we do not understand the intention. But there is a very, very, very earthly experience which Bhagavan once gave, which actually will stop us from really finding ourselves in that prickly situation wherein we compare and say, why him, why not me? I call it the account book theory. If some of you have seen it in the YouTube, it's okay, I will repeat it once again, but I'm expecting many of you would not have heard about it. I called it the account book theory, not Swami. I named it the account book theory. It so happened that one day Swami called me and he asked me to convey a message to Mr. Narayan, who was the secretary of the Central Trust in those days. And I conveyed that message, the consequence of which was one very elderly couple devotee was asked to leave the ashram. Now this couple was very well respected by all of us. We used to look up to them because, they were such sincere people, wouldn't bother about anything under the sun. They would come, attend bhajans, attend Nagar Sankirtan, do the task assigned to them, and they would just go. If they have anything, they used to have only kind words for people. Never heard them criticize, never heard them use a foul language, nothing. This was the kind of people, and suddenly they were asked to leave the ashram. I felt very bad because I knew them personally. And Swami is a master, at catching expressions on the face. So I was very upset. I was just standing, and one day he saw me and he said, "What happened?" I said, "Swami, nothing." I was not going to discuss all these things with him. He said, "No, it's okay. You can tell me what happened." I said, "Swami, why is it that sometimes you shower so much of grace on people who apparently don't seem to deserve it? But there are people," and there's one more thing I have to tell you, these two pious souls, Swami rarely spoke to them. But they were very, very happy people because they just had darshan of Swami. You should see that expression on their face. It used to be beaming with joy. They were connecting with Swami at some other level. They were happy and Swami was also happy with it. We used to think, that these people have never been spoken to by Swami despite being so sincere. So I asked this question to Swami, "Swami, why is it that sometimes you shower so much of your grace and love on people who apparently don't seem to deserve? But while in this very ashram, there are so many people who do their work sincerely, follow the rules and disciplines very strictly, and you rarely talk to them. How is it that these people, despite all their efforts, do not get to experience you?" And then Swami, first blinder he gave me was, "What makes you think they are not experiencing me? How are you judging that? Do you know who they are? Do you know how they experience me? Do you know how happy they are with the way they are? And do you know, most importantly, how I connect with them? I said, no. Then he said, how did you form that judgment? What gives you the right to form that judgment? Then I said, Swami, I realized my mistake. Then he stared at me deeply. Perhaps he thought this is also a time he need to give me one big lesson. My life changed after that. My life changed after that because I was guilty of this very thing, judging. Why is Swami talking to this fellow? He doesn't get up till 8 o'clock. He comes just in time for breakfast and then runs to the college. No Suprabhatam, no nothing. Whichever mischief takes place in the hostel, he is always in the list. But Swami gives him so many chances. I used to grumble this time. Many times I used to grumble like this. What I am grumbling at the students' level, I am sure many devotees grumbled at their level talking about this. But this happens. They thought that maybe it is time to set things right. I never went down that line of thought ever after that. I am sincerely praying to Bhagavan that this will also do this to many of you. If it does not, it is my mistake. I have not been able to share it with you the way Swami taught me that. Then Swami said, you come here and sit down. So I went, sat down. Then Swami said, you asked me, why is it that I do not have the grace on certain people despite their being so sincere? You asked me the question, why I seem to shower grace on some people who don't seem to be deserving it. Why this mismatch? There's also a book written, they said, why bad things happen to good people. And somebody great soul wrote, why badder things happen to gooder people. So it went on that way and on. Frankly, I never got my answers from that book. And I never found the second book, even though I was told that it was existing. So anyway, and Swami said, let me explain it to you in a way you will understand. You want a loan. You go to the bank. You said, you tell the bank, this is my application, I want a loan for this much amount, give me. Will the bank give you the loan immediately? I said, no, Swami. What will they look for? I said, Swami, first they will look at my earning capacity. How much am I earning? What is my own earning that basically quantifies how much of loan they will give? If I am earning, let us say, 1,000 pounds, and I ask a loan for 1 million pounds, which bank will give it? I am a big risk factor, they will not touch me. So, first they will see, Swami, what is this that I have earned? Whether my earning capacity is in tune with what I have asked. Swami said, good. Second, is there anything else? Then I thought for some time and I was not very sure. Then Swami said, there is a second thing which the bank is likely to consider. Let us say that if you don't have the earning capacity which matches what you are asking for, there is a second thing which the bank sees. What is that? Collateral. Suppose your forefathers and your parents have earned a great deal of wealth and they have given it to you to enjoy. Then the bank sees whether you have any collateral which you can put against the loan you are asking. In that case, even though what you are earning on your own is not sufficient, the collateral is sufficient for the bank to give you what you want. I said, yes, Swami. Then he said, anything else? I said, I don't know, Swami. Swami said, there's a third route. Somebody should stand as a guarantor for you. If you still desperately need the money, you are not earning enough, your luck is so bad that your parents and your grandparents have left nothing for you, but you still need the loan excessively, then if somebody comes up and tells, I will stand as a guarantor for this person, I know him, you can give him the loan because I will take care if some default takes place. If the guarantor comes forward, the bank will still give you the loan. I said, yes, Swami. And Swami said, these three are perhaps the only routes by which a bank will give you the loan that you are asking for. I said, yes, Swami. He said, spirituality is exactly like this. Now followed a master class which I have not read anywhere, I have not found in any textbook. First, easy to guess. He said, first, you ask God for His grace because you are going through some problem, you want God's grace. First column, how much of punyam have you accumulated with your own hard work? God sees that first. So let us say if your punyam you have accumulated through your good deeds has sufficient balance to what you have asked for, God instantly gives you the grace. Let us say you have not acquired enough punyam to merit what you have asked for. God goes to the second column. Now let's be a little interactive. What do you think is the second column? We said collateral, earned by our parents and grandparents. So in spiritual parlance, any guesses as to what it can be? No. Pardon me? No, that goes into karma. Prarabdha karma is your own karma, what you have done in previous lives, good and bad. So it is under the first column. That's the answer. This was a revelation to me. This was a revelation to me. Because he said, in your family, in your prior generations, that is your grandfather, forefather, parents, someone have done such stupendously good task. God is so pleased that he gives a huge bunch of grace as bonus to that family. So not only that person, but generations after that can draw on that and enjoy. Now sometimes when Swami blesses in Telugu, I don't know if you have ever heard, he says, Swami's grace tarataralaki untundi, means for generations after this, Swami's grace will be there on your family. That is him telling this. That means something you have done has pleased him so much that he says, tarataralaki, generations after you will enjoy my grace. So he just gives it like that as a gift. Third column, if somebody has already seen my talk, please don't open your mouth. But otherwise, I would like others to guess. What? Let us say even this is not there. Nobody in our family has done so much, or maybe they have done and it's already been used up by people before me. I have nothing in that column, but I still need God's grace. God goes to the third column, the guarantor. Right? Somebody who tells, I know this person, he deserves his grace, please give him. Make a guess. No, I already requested those who have seen my talk, please don't talk. No. He listens. The moment he sees that the first two columns have drawn a blank, he just starts listening. Anywhere in the world, is anybody praying at this point of time, so and so person is a very nice person, may he always be happy. May he never face sadness. God says that is enough for me to give you the grace because somebody is praying for you. That is a guarantor. And then Swami said, if all these three are absent, why do you think God will bother giving you the grace that you're asking for? There's no deservance. Grace demands a deserve. Deservedness is demanded for grace. So after this, I discovered everything fell into the place for me. Why is it that some people are enjoying, some people are suffering? Number one, what I call suffering is not suffering for them. They seem to be pretty happy about it because they are connecting to God in their own way, through their own sadhana, and they are happy about it. Number two, even though the things don't seem to be going the way I want, wherein for us it is always demand versus supply, those kind of logics we use, spirituality doesn't follow those logics. And everything fell into the place. I never ever asked why somebody is enjoying and why somebody is sad. Everything is following this account book which he has opened for each one of us. So it's a beautiful thing that I said, after this I stopped the habit of comparison. Why is it that they are getting interviews, I am not getting an interview? Why is it that Swami always talks to them and gives them chances, why doesn't he give it to me? I stopped those line of thinking altogether. This comparison went out of the door as far as my sadhana was concerned. So this is the first step in sadhana, a very crucial stumbling block, which if we know a deeper understanding of why things are happening the way they are, we would never fall into this trap of comparing with people and setting preconditions on how we think Bhagavan should shower his grace. So it doesn't work out that way. Once we have this disease of comparison out of our way, we become more receptive to things. We become more perceptive to the way God is trying to touch us and support us and help us. So this is very important because now the obstacle is out, the route becomes far more clear. And when this happens, we begin to understand how easy it is for Swami to start using the same incident and teach different lessons to different people based on what individual's requirement is. I'd like to share a very funny incident which happened once with Bhagwan. And whenever these VIP devotees like chief ministers and all would come, Bhagwan would put them in the guest house and he would send us a couple of students to look after them. I used to be blessed with many such opportunities. When prime ministers and presidents would come, he would tell one student and another person, I would go along. This was a chief minister of the state of Andhra Pradesh, had come once. And that man was a very powerful person. He had lots of power centered in his hand. People were very scared of him. Obviously, with such people, you have lots of sycophants also who come to pay their respects to these people. And so this person had had Swami's darshan and he had retired into his inner chambers in the guest house. When all of a sudden, I had a huge banging on the door, as if, the door is going to come out of its hinges. What is happening? But I got a little worried, so I didn't open the main door of the guest house. Instead, I went to a side door, opened and saw who it was. And I discovered that some political figure was standing there. And he was banging the door because he wanted to come in. And the worst thing was he was having his chappals on. His footwear was on. This is the region where Bhagwan used to walk so many times, and even here we see, why do we remove our footwear outside? Because it's our firm belief that Bhagwan is sitting here with us. And when we go in the presence of a holy person, much less the avatar himself, we go try to maintain as much of purity as possible. So maybe this person was not a devotee, I granted him that. Maybe he didn't know the customs of this place. So I went from the side and I said, sir, what is it I can do for you? He said, I need to go and speak to the chief minister, you move out of my way. So poor man was thinking that this is the parliament house or something where he can do what he wants. So I just stood, I didn't move. I said, sir, two things. First, the chief minister has already retired. I need to inform him that you have come. You can please come inside and sit on the sofa at the waiting hall. I will go and inform him and then I will communicate to you what he wants. Second thing, sir, this is a place which is sanctified by Bhagwan's holy steps. He walks here. It means a lot to us. I request you to kindly respect our sentiment, remove your footwear and come back. He pushed me aside. And he said, who are you to tell me? I have to meet the chief minister. He knows who I am. Let me come in. So I opened the door and I said, sir, I'll open the door, but please sit here and please give me your chappals. You don't want to remove it. For us, it is a sentiment for us. Please give me your chappals. I will keep it there and I will come back. So he just wouldn't listen. He just barged, brushed me aside and he went. The other brother, who was a very hefty person, much more taller than me and much more hefty, he was standing near the inner door like this. No, he came, banged into him, move. Then this person saw how I was being treated. He said, sir, will you go and remove your chappals outside or shall I complain to the chief minister about your indiscipline? That shook him. Because chief minister was a big devotee of Bhagwan. If the complaint goes against him that you have been disrespecting the customs of Prasanthi Nilayam, his political career is more or less gone. So he ran out, removed his chappals and he came back. So we didn't think much about it. Everything was fine. This was the incident. The next day, the chief minister had left. We finished cleaning the place and then we went to Mandir. Bhajans were about to start in the morning. I was sitting outside. This person was a bhajan singer. He was sitting inside. So General Chibbar was sitting next to me. General Chibbar was a retired Indian Army Lieutenant General. So he was a big devotee of Bhagwan. He was sitting there next to me and he used to learn Telugu from me. And Swami used to find it very tickling. He used to tell me, you learn Telugu from him, you will never learn. So, no, but we used to continue and he would be always asking, what did he teach you today? What did you teach you today? So he was sitting next to me and we were going to learn Telugu in 30 days. It's another matter that it took more than 2 months. So we were talking to each other and suddenly Swami came out and he looked at us and he saw Telugu. He said like this, that means continue. Then he looked at a few elders there and he said, Channa Reddy was here, the chief minister. They all said, yes, Swami, he was there, we all saw. Something very, very funny happened inside. Some very strange incident happened. Oh, what happened, Swami? Everybody's ears were up. Then he looked at me and he said, tell. What strange happened? Nothing happened. He came, he enjoyed, he went. What is strange in this? Then I was looking at Swami, what happened? He said, chappals. I said, chappals are strange. Okay, no problem. Swami is considering it strange. So I narrated. This is what happened. Swami said, good, what did you do? I said, Swami, I told him to give me the chappals because he was not listening to me. I offered to keep the chappals there and I made him sit here, but he was not listening to me. Swami said, everyone, this is why I like my students so much. Look at them, how humble they are. They don't mind carrying the chappals of others. It's so nice they behave. That is why I enjoy being with my students. But Bangaru, I will tell you one lesson. Every time if you talk so softly to people, people will swallow you like a puppet. Once in a while, you have to be firm and tell them in very strong terms. You have to use strong voice, pretend that you are angry, otherwise things won't work. I said, yes, Swami. Then he went inside the bhajan hall. Now those poor souls in the bhajan hall had no idea what happened outside. So he went inside, there some more senior elders were seated there along with this other brother of mine. He was a bhajan singer. And Swami told those elders, you know Chenna Reddy was here. Ah, yes, Swami, we all saw him. You know, but something very strange happened inside. No, Swami, we don't know. Then he looked at this boy and said, tell. So he told everything. So what did you do? I said, Swami, I stood there and I told him in a very stern voice, better remove your chappals, otherwise I'm going to complain. This is why I like my students. Look at them. They can be firm where they want to be. They are very strict where they have to be. But Bangaru, I'll give you one lesson. With everybody, if you're going to shout and be stern like this, you will have nobody talking to you. Once in a while, you must be soft and sweet also. Yes, Swami. Arre? Same incident happened and within 5 minutes, he generated 2 lessons out of it. No, but I needed this, he needed that. And I'm sure if another 10 people were there, 10 different lessons would have emerged from this. That is the power of the Jagat Guru. But we have to be receptive. We have to be receptive. That's what I am trying to highlight over here. If we are not receptive and we say, we all had a nice laugh and no, that's good, it won't work out. That incident happened that way because Swami had us. He wanted us to learn our lesson. And if we were not receptive, we would have just brushed it aside. So that reception is important. Until then, the experience won't come. Even if it comes, we would not be in a position to recognize it or make sense out of it. So therefore, this attuning ourselves with Bhagwan and being receptive to his lessons is very important when we are doing our sadhana. So first, let us get the comparative mode out. Automatically, the reception tune starts increasing. So we start increasingly getting tuned to what Bhagwan wants to tell us. What are the pitfalls which we can face likely when we are doing our sadhana? And the biggest pitfall which can possibly face is we lose sight of the creator and start thinking that the creation is real. Now we get so caught up in our environment that we forget that the environment is there because it was created by someone. Environment can change. Today we are working here, we are staying in this house. Tomorrow we will shift our house, we will go to a different city. Environment keeps changing. It is just like a movie that is being played out on a screen. The scenes keep changing, but the screen remains where it is. So the environment keeps changing. But the creator who created that environment is not going anywhere. So if we start focusing is important therefore. We can't focus in the environment and say, this is Swami, and start getting attached to the environment. We need to look beyond and see why this environment is here because the creator wanted it to be there. And that is why Swami says you always focus on the creator, not on the creation. When the MBA program first began at Puttaparthi, lots of opportunities would be given to them. Swami on every Sunday, he would call them into the audiovisual room where he would start speaking to them impromptu discourses. And some of us who were blessed to give talks in Swami's discourses, we would also be asked to sneak in. So we also used to sit along with the MBA students. And Swami would talk and, they were very informal talks. I'm sure they were recorded somewhere. Possibly may not come out in the public domain because they were meant for the consumption of the students at that point of time. So during one of these, he suddenly said, now I'm going to do an experiment. All of you watch me carefully. And in front, there is a photographs also of this. Many of us still have those photographs. And Swami started waving his hand and he materialized a medallion which was this big. It had a particular structure with a particular stones and all embedded in it. In between there was a big porcelain picture of Bhagwan, beautiful porcelain picture of Bhagwan. And he gave it to one of the faculty members and he said, take it around to all the people in the hall and please all of you watch it very carefully. Chala jagrattaga chudandi, he said. This is an experiment, he again emphasized. So we all saw very carefully, some of us so carefully that we even counted how many stones are there. So, but all the data was available with us, between us. So we knew the medallion inside out. Then it went back to him. Then I said, okay, now all of you watch. And these photographs are there, by the way. I'm repeating once again. He put it in front of our eyes and blew on it 3 times. And then he gave it to the faculty member and he said, now take it around. It was a totally new medallion. The shape had changed, the stones had changed, Swami's photograph had changed, everything was different about it. Just that the photograph was the same, but instead of a porcelain, it was now embedded on some kind of other background. But the photograph was the same. And we were all thinking, wow, divinity is so powerful, so this thing in a jiffy could do everything. And he waited for all of us to make these wonderful comments and then he said, divinity has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with what you have just seen. I can train each one of you to do this. Each one of you I can train to do this. Don't confuse what you have seen, this creation and materialization, with the Creator. The Creator is way, way beyond this. What you have seen is an exhibition of pure brahmacharya, which, if you are doing your sadhana sincerely, is a stage you will encounter. And when you encounter that stage, this is the pitfall you will face, because you will have control on mind and matter, and you will think that itself is the Creator's power, and you will stagnate there. So there are pitfalls on the way. So then he said that the Creator is far, far, far beyond this. You need to look beyond this. This is the stage I want each one of you to raise, he was telling us. Pure brahmacharya. So when you reach that pure brahmacharya stage, you will start getting closer to this thing. But never ever confuse Swami with these silly materializations and rematerializations. I am way beyond that, he declared on that day. But there was another instance where, this happened. All of us know that Swami uses his right hand for materialization, right? So that day some group of students had come, so I had gone outside to distribute something. And when I was going in, a group of foreigners were coming inside for an interview. And Swami called me, you come inside and translate. I have seen him go inside with Russian and Czechoslovakian and Japanese devotees without a translator, and they came out with bliss. So he knows every language in this world, he'll connect with them. But this is an opportunity for me, so he just said, come and translate. So I went inside and I was translating. A short discourse, 20 minutes, he spoke to them, it was over. After that, he materialized a vibhuti and gave it to one lady. And this one foreign gentleman was there, he was observing Swami very keenly. So he caught Swami's hand and said, Swami, can you also materialize with your left hand? It's such a pitying look Swami gave him, and while talking to him, Swami waved his left hand. He said, Srishtikara Nilayanaki Karanavena Cheti, Ye Chetito Cheste Yemi, he said. The one who can take care of creation, sustenance and destruction, what does it matter which hand he is using? And he was waving his left hand. He materialized a beautiful necklace from that. And he gave it to somebody else, not to him. But that man learnt his lesson. So these materializations and of course these are the first steps with God attracts us to Him, because this impresses us. More than that, it catches our attention. Somebody here is doing something which we think is fantastic. That is when our attention gets aroused. But if we get stuck at that level, we are failing in our sadhana. Swami always wanted us to look beyond this. Look beyond these materializations. Materializations have a purpose. I remember once Mr. Indulal Shah was asking Swami because one devotee had come there, who had lost his ring which Swami had given. So Swami was telling him that the ring was materialized for a purpose. That purpose is over, so it went back. Why are you so attached to the ring? I am here. The person who gave you the ring, I am here. Why are you still so attached to the ring? So Mr. Indulal Shah asked Swami, why is it that then you materialize things? And Swami said they have a specific purpose. They are also time bound. Once that purpose is met, once that goal is achieved, the materialization doesn't make any sense thereafter. So this is a very, very important thing about what we need to look after. And so if comes to the question, because yesterday we had a Q&A session, day before yesterday in Leicester, where one of the devotees asked, see, you had spent so much of time with Bhagwan, it's so easy for you to talk. These days Bhagwan is not there. How do we connect with him? Once again, that's a mistake over there. Why is it that we want to connect to the physical God? When Swami himself was declaring all the time that Swami is there in each one of you, in fact, he is there all around us, it's like that sieve. We are immersed in the love which the Creator himself has made. He is always there around us, inside us, about us. Why do we want to get into that narrow restriction that he is somewhere there whom I have to go touch and I have to experience? So I still remember one lovely experience, because he has always told us, if my grace is there with you, I will always be there to protect you. He never said in this physical form. He didn't add that word. This is what he said. My grace is there with you. I am always there to watch over you and protect you. Whichever, whether he is there in his physical form or whether he is not there in his physical form. This has its own charm, definitely connecting to the physical form. But just because the jalebi is very tasty, you can't go on eating it 24/7. We have to understand jalebi is there only for some time. We can't go on eating it because it will harm us. Getting so attached to the physical form that we want everything down to that physical form is also dangerous in a spiritual sadhana. We need to look beyond that. There are other sweets, there are other items. Let us taste that. And let us understand that the physical form was here for a specific purpose. Once it served its purpose, he decided to leave it and he decided to become that ethereal true self of his, which is where he wants us to rise. By not willing to rise to that level, we are actually doing him an injustice. We are defying the faith which he placed on us. And that's, I don't think, is an acceptable possibility. So I'll just conclude with one incident about how Swami stands by. When he says, my grace is there, it will protect you, how he stands by it. There was once a Swami was coming out and he suddenly saw one student and he said, did they come suddenly? He was puzzled and he looked around and Swami, who came? Thieves, he said. And he said, what? Swami, thieves, they had come to your house. This fellow got thoroughly alarmed. Because, out of the blue, he is peacefully sitting for darshan and Swami is coming and announcing thieves have struck your house. And he went into a turmoil, he went into a tizzy, and then Swami, the moment he went in, he told, I'm going to make a phone call home, and he ran out. He couldn't connect home. And then he came back and he tried, nothing happened. Next morning he came for darshan once again. These were holidays, so morning and evening we would come for darshan. And he went, Swami, I'm not able to contact home, I'm getting very worried. And Swami said, why are you worried? I told your father long back that my grace is there with him, nothing will happen, I'll protect, nothing happened, don't worry, he said. And then this fellow finally got him in the evening, he got his home people on the phone. That's exactly what happened. The thieves had come. They had removed the grill near the washroom, they had taken out 3 panes, they did nothing else after that. Even the police who came to investigate were wondering, they successfully removed the grills without anybody hearing them. They successfully removed the glass panes. We didn't have CCTV cameras in those days. I'm talking about late 80s. So in India, CCTV cameras were unheard of in those days. So the glass panes were removed. There was only one more pane left to be removed. After this, the thieves could have easily entered the house. But they didn't do it. Till date, no one knows what happened, except that wonderful statement which Bhagavan made to his father. My grace is there, I will always watch over you. And that is the thing which we should take away from here today. In his discourses, innumerable number of times, he said, I bless you, my grace is there with you. Let's believe and have a trust in that. But let us not have preconditions and definitions of how that grace should be with us and how he should reciprocate with us. He will choose his way, he will choose his time, he will choose what to do with that grace. We just have to be receptive enough to get that grace and make the best use of it. So, with these few words, I would like to really thank you all for giving me this opportunity. It means a lot for me also to share my thoughts, because many of these incidents, when I share it with others, it's like I'm reliving those moments. And when I relive those moments, it makes my connection with Bhagavan goes back, recharges itself. And I would like to offer my gratitude to Bhagavan for giving me this chance. and gratitude to you all for giving me this opportunity to relive those moments and recharge my own batteries. Thank you very much, and Jai Sai Ram.
Sairam, brothers and sisters, can we please give Professor Sainath another round of applause for a wonderful talk. It was so nice to hear his loving words of encouragement to us and the wonderful stories, and I'm sure it's inspiring us for our journey ahead over the next 79 days, as Shitabai said. We now come to one of another of the important parts of the day, lunch. So we're going to stop for about 1 hour. So please kindly make your way to the dining hall. When we come back, we will do the Q&A session this afternoon. And just to bear in mind, we are aiming to finish at 3 o'clock for this Sadhana meeting and for future ones. But we may overrun a little bit depending on the number of questions. So we'll come back here in about 1 hour. Jai Sai Ram.